Boogie2988 or Stephen J. Williams is a YouTuber who has been making videos for a very long time. For a while he had this reputation of being a saint, and he was even called the Mr. Rogers of the internet. However, this illusion of being a good person started to crack. His true colours started to show, such as his racism, being an abuser, and much, much more. In this video, I plan to cover the vile actions that this so-called saint of YouTube has done. Expose this boogeyman for who he actually is. Now, this worthless femboy will try his best to cover as much as he can, however, there is so much shit that this monster has done, I'm going to miss a lot. So please, share in the comments if I did. Make my day worse. Damn it all to hell, let's go. Let's start with a big one, shall we? He was abusive to his ex-wife Des. Stephen has denied this by saying he never physically harmed her, but the type of abuse he inflicted on her is not physical. She suffered for him. She cared for him. She went out of her way to make Stephen happy. What did he do? What did he give back in return? Nothing. He failed her. He made her go through hell. All she wanted was affection in return. She wanted Stephen to work on his health, to make both of their lives easier and happier. Even with so much support from his friends, his wife, his fans, he refused to better himself. It's not an easy journey to lose weight and improve on your mental health, but Stephen never even tried. So, his ex-wife rightfully left him. She demanded a divorce. And from what I've seen, she's doing great. She seems happy. She's escaped the abuse. She's escaped the monster. I feel like even if Stephen were to lose the weight in one day and offer to mend the damage he caused her, she wouldn't take him back. The harm he did to her was so bad. Des deserves better. Thankfully, she is doing better. Stephen has stated he's moved on, but once he made a sketch of himself beating up a dummy who represented his ex-wife. Seems like Stephen has issues letting go. If I may say, Des is a true saint, and it makes me happy that she left that monster. Moving on, Boogie has claimed that he was abused as a child. However, every time he mentions his story, it's always inconsistent. This has led to many people not believing him. It has to be said that we will never truly know if he was abused as a kid. This is quite damning to Boogie's reputation, because in his earlier days as a YouTuber, he gained a lot of sympathy because of how open he was discussing his abuse. In my opinion, he is either lying completely or he was abused and he's adding twists to it to make his story more tragic. Regardless, he's being manipulative. It's quite distasteful. Speaking of manipulation, Stephen manipulates his audience a ton. He mainly does this through playing a victim. It's kind of like a cycle with him. He says something that gets some kickback from his audience. He says he's sorry, then mentions his abuse. It's not his fault he says bad things or does awful stuff, because it's the abuse he endured. That's to blame.
That was my depression.
He even uses this to get donations and support. But you see, if his abuse is causing him to behave poorly, then shouldn't he not post a video or use social media and focus on getting help? Of course not. If he did such a thing, he couldn't get donations, and he wouldn't have an excuse for his awful actions. Now I have to mention how careless, reckless, and insensitive he is when talking about mental health and suicide. These two topics are very complex and they can be difficult to talk about. Plus, if you're not careful, you could potentially harm a listener. For example, something that may help you could end up hurting someone else. It's a very touchy subject. You need to be careful. Of course, Mr. Stephen does no such thing. He oozes and spits out and vomits so much filth when talking about mental illness and suicide. His listeners, especially the younger ones, may take his word at face value and potentially get harmed by it. He isn't careful with his words. To name one example, there was a suicidal user on Twitter who approached Mr. Stephen. So what did he do? He said it was okay and he would understand. You piece of shit. That's so reckless of you. How dare you say that? This alone, in my opinion, justifies him losing all of his platforms. He shouldn't have any platforms. Jesus Christ. How about that time he teamed up with BetterHelp? That company that claimed to have a therapist you could talk to whenever you needed to at affordable prices, that turned out to hire unlicensed therapists and was selling clients' data for money? It's, really scummy, making money out of people who need mental help. Just saying, that's a scummy thing. So, when this got out to Mr. Steven, he went hard on their defense, but that exposed him as someone wanting to make money. Of course he would defend them. They were paying him to promote it. For someone who claims to take mental health and suicide seriously, he sure likes to treat it like it's not a big deal. I also want to show you the contrast between how he handles these topics versus another YouTuber, who in my opinion handles these subjects much better than Mr. Steven. And that YouTuber is Pushing Up Roses. She is so careful with her words. She reinforces that some advice given may not work for them and the listeners should be careful. And she's incredibly graceful too. This next one, oh baby, this next one. It's well known now. It's the famous stream where he called those who were critical of him worse than Nazis and rapists. That's it. I don't know what I can add to it, but yeah. He went on a diatribe rant about those who criticized him. Hell, he even called himself a martyr. Please. This got Boogie2988 a lot of backlash, and rightfully so. He tried to backpedal, but then he doubled down instead on his opinion. You moron. This led to many people to stop supporting him. It really did expose him for who he really is. This nice guy, who apparently is open to new ideas and criticism, thinks his critics are worse than Nazis and rapists. You really can't trust a word he says. How can we forget the racism? He has openly mocked how people of colour, especially black women, speak, and he didn't even do this in like a jokingly manner, which by the way, that doesn't make it okay. It was just straight up vile. And of course, there was the famous line he once said in a stream. He was donated money, and then he responded. And I want to remind you, he said this so naturally as well.
For you
I'm a
too.
black person.
Sprockle, I'm glad to hear you're still black. And thanks for 2 months of support, man. That's a lot of money, I guess, for a person of color.
So like, not only is this so disgusting, but his racism pisses me the fuck off. What the fuck? Someone donates to you out of love, and you respond with that. Motherfucker, you are just so vile. He said it so naturally too. You piece of shit. When I make videos about YouTubers, I try to be more informative with a spice of my opinion. Not this time. I can't. Boogie, you are a vile monster. I hate your guts. How dare you? No, I will refuse to accept this as an edgy joke. What joke? There was no setup. What's the punchline? Screw you. Piss me the fuck off, you degenerate. Hoocha mama here. Yeah, so I was like editing, and then, I was trying to find, clips and, research, sort of. And then I found clips of him saying the N-word. Lovely. Just lovely. Boogie, the racist degenerate. This next one is serious, and I sort of struggled a bit writing this part. So Steven has a habit of fake crying suicide. As I mentioned before, suicide is very serious. It's a very complex, it's a touchy subject. It's not easy to talk about. It shouldn't be taken lightly. Of course, Steven doesn't really care. He uses suicide baiting as a shield. The critics say bad things to him. Oh no, he's gonna do the unthinkable, and then he will blame it on you. iDubbbz wanted to make a content crop on him, but what did Boogie do? He tried suicide and it never happened. And this behaviour is really dangerous. There are people out there who do want to take their own life, and they cry out for help. And people don't listen. And Boogie's behaviour, thanks to it, and others, people don't take them seriously. This affects those who do feel suicidal because they won't be listened to. And this is just beyond vile. This behaviour is so dangerous. I hate it. Again. And this also should result in Steven losing his platforms. He is reckless, selfish, inconsiderate, vile. What a disgrace. Here's a simpler one. He spreads misinformation. Video games, real life, events, politics, etc. Even though he sometimes reads off an article, Boogeyman still gets it wrong. He won't admit it. He won't correct it. It doesn't take long to double check. But yeah, he's such a fool. Don't watch his news videos. He never adds anything of value to it, or he just spreads misinformation. Keeping the theme simple, he lies about playing video games and still makes reviews of them. Death Stranding is like the best example of this. This video is deleted now, but I remember it. So Boogie played 30 minutes of Death Stranding, then made a review video saying, "It's the most important game ever." And the video was like 5 minutes long. Please, I made a 3-hour video covering Postal 1, and that wasn't even a review. I was just explaining why it's an amazing horror game. Yet this fool is like, the most important game ever. I've only played 30 minutes, and the video itself is like 5 minutes long. Oh god. What a fucking waste of time these reviews are. Don't watch his reviews. Just don't watch him. Your life will be so much better if you don't watch him. Whew, I've calmed down. So let's look at Boogie2988's weight loss situation. This too also led to many supporters to stop following him. Now, there is quite a bit of a history to it, so I'll do my best to cover the most important parts. Boogie2988 has told his audience that being big can be dangerous for your health, and you should work towards being healthier through eating better meals and exercising. He told his audience he too would work towards becoming healthy. He even promised his wife at the time. Spoilers, that didn't work out though. The funny thing is, he never improved. He actually looked like he was gaining more weight. It doesn't help that fitness coaches offered their services for free and Boogie2988 refused them. That's why low tier god made that video on Boogie2988 in the first place. So then he chose to go with a surgery. This was a bad idea because those who have experienced taking that surgery to lose weight explained to Boogie2988 that using the surgery as a quick fix, instead of doing workouts, eating healthy combined with the surgery would most likely result in a failure. And you guessed it, it really failed and he got bigger. Yikes. The surgery itself was a success, but like he obviously took it for the wrong reasons, and yeah, he just failed. It was a failure. Like, he gained all that weight back. Like, how? Like, oh god. Plus, there's the constant line about his diet and exercise. Motherfucker eats like crazy and pretend he's trying bad foods out. Then he'll post like a 20-second clip of him walking and goes, "I worked hard today." Like, how dumb do you think your audience are? They ain't getting fooled by you. He has no intention of losing weight. Why? Because he can play the victim and guilt trip his audience for the money. Since we just covered his weight loss situation, we might as well go into how he harms the body positive movement. As a feminist, body positivity is a topic I care about a lot. It's important that people shouldn't be shamed because of their body, and those who want to lose weight should be supported too. Bodies are different. We should love ourselves. Of course, if you're putting yourself at a dangerous risk, such as being too thin or too big, you should seek help. There is more to it, but that's the short version. With that said, let's go back to Boogie2988. He will rant about being big is bad and you need to become healthy. It's not okay. But then he will say, no, I'm happy being big and being big is okay. What type of message are you trying to say? Then there are examples where people have bodies that are really dangerous and they're putting their lives at risk. And Boogie just goes, no, they don't need help, let them be happy. More power to them. Then he shames them? Because he's big himself and he thinks this gives him authority over this topic? Like, it's just a mess. Like, this guy is so inconsistent. One day he's like, no, we should love ourselves and big bodies are cool. Then the next day he shames you for it. Like, what the fuck? So let me say this clearly. Your information is harmful, Boogie. Your mixed messaging is making the movement a mess. You body shame others. The body positivity movement is about being non-judgmental. Please stop acting like you care about the body positive movement. Go to the library and touch FIENDS. This next one is old, but it's quite telling of who he is versus who he pretends to be. Many years ago, he used to quote-unquote troll Christian websites, and through their forums he would spam not safe for work images onto them. And the sad reality is that, well, a lot of children would use these Christian forums. This is just wrong. It's vile. Regardless if you believe in the religion or not, sending not safe for work images to children through the forum is beyond gross. Steven, stay away from children. Speaking of sites, he used to run a porn blog site, and he would say some racist, homophobic, and sexist things on it. He likes to claim it was all just dark jokes. But I must say again, where's the joke? Saying hateful shit isn't a joke. It's hateful. This next one also got Boogie attention. It was when he fired a warning shot in a school on Church Lane. A troll came to his house, and that's how he reacted. Not by staying in his home, talking to the troll, or calling the police, but to shoot a gun in the air. What makes this even worse is that Boogie had a chat with the troll, and over a dozen times threatened to kill him. Of course he tries to twist the story as if he's the victim. Just gonna remind yo, he once said he would never hurt a fly. What a load of shit. This next one is very telling of how self-absorbed he is, and FIENDS, you can use this one to tell if others are too. He always makes good deeds about himself. When you do a good deed, it comes from the heart, and you don't need to mention it. You know what you did. However, when people say, I'm good because I did this, or I did that, I donated to this cause, etc, etc, they're taking away the good deed aspect and making it about themselves. Pay attention to me. To me.
I'm the one who operated a successful YouTube channel. Me. Read.
Not the good thing I did. Boogeyman does this all the time. I did this, I did that. I'm a good person, see? He's making it about himself. He doesn't care unless it makes him look good. Just a warning, this next one is gonna be a little rough. Honestly, it's just awful. So I'll keep it short. Etika was a beloved content creator who took his own life. Boogie2988 mocked his suicide and started bragging that he was stronger than him. Yep, that's it. I don't think I'll need to explain why that's horrible and beyond cruel. Of course, in the end, he just makes it about himself. Moving on. Continuing with the theme of mocking, he once mocked a viewer for losing both of their parents during a stream. Okay, that's so funny, right? You piece of shit, Boogie. Didn't you lose your parents? Do you not have any empathy? Sorry, I forgot, you're the Boogeyman of the YouTube Mojave. Of course not. Here's a short and sweet one. He lies about pretty much everything. He can't stop lying. He will act like he knows what he's talking about, or change past events to suit him, but it's so obvious when he lies. This next one is weird, but here we go. He once said that his father was an abuser and harmed him in various ways. Then he proceeds to defend him. So, according to Boogie, his father was a child abuser, and yet he defends his actions. On a stream, he even threatened to beat someone who was saying anything bad towards his father. Yeah, I'm stumped here. So, if Boogie is speaking the truth, then I will say this. He was a bad man, and he harmed children. Do not defend him. Don't give power to abusers. He may be your father, but he harmed you. Of course, we can't confirm this. He could be making it all up, and most likely, he is. This next one, oh boy, he's very anti-LGBT+. Where to start? He thinks trans people are men in skirts, and they're not proper women. How hateful, Boogie. He thinks gay people should wait and do nothing for 20 years, then fight for equality. Good to know that you care for them. Just tell them to wait. Who cares if they're getting treated badly? Just wait. You gotta tell people of color to wait too? Even though they're being oppressed so badly? Just wait. Just wait until you get equality. Just wait, then fight for your equality. Jesus Christ. But the Tarper. He once said that he was bi for a while, but that's not true. He's a cis white straight male. It turned out he was only saying he was bi because it was trendy? Like clothing? That's so despicable. Pretending to be part of the LGBT plus community. It's not a piece of clothing you wear and take off. Remember, he cares, but his actions tell you a different story. He's such a hateful person. Moving on, he loves to hang out with the alt-right. Just to be clear, I'm not saying the right. Yes, I do disagree a lot with the right, but speaking with people with different political views is not bad. I follow creators who hold viewpoints that I disagree with. That's okay. They've treated me really well. They've been really kind to me when I speak to them. And I'm polite and respectful towards them too. Being able to speak to others with different viewpoints in a human level is amazing. Now that I've said that, Boogie hands up with the alt-right. These people are hateful, racists, and white nationalists. They harm people. They do not want a conversation, a discussion. Boogie hands out with them. They are bad people, and he's always welcome to join them when they livestream. Steven, they're Nazis. For fuck's sake, you claim that you believe in love and respecting one another, yet you hang out with these who act in the opposite way. Hands out with them all the time as well. From hanging out with the alt-right, how about that time in VidCon when he shared a panel with Anita Sarkeesian and other feminists? The panel was about cyberbullying and women getting attacked online. Guess what? He made it about himself. It made the rest of the panel upset. A panel about women getting abused online, and a cis straight white male takes over it. This panel was about the experiences of women and what they have to deal with online. How the fuck did you get in there? Regardless, this was a time to listen, not to speak. It's so selfish. I can't blame the other panelists for getting angry at Boogie. Then there was the one time where he interviewed Kid Behind the Camera over the abusive nature of angry grandpa. For real, that guy abused kids, and Boogie was passive in the interview. For someone who claims to be abused, you would think Steven would be more critical, take a stronger stance, ask the tough questions to Kid Behind the Camera, but nope, he gave Kid Behind the Camera a pass. Of course he will, they're friends. Why would he harm their relationship? Both Kid Behind the Camera and Boogie are degenerates. They have to watch each other's backs. I know. He likes to profit off his dead mother. Yeah, what can I say? Even with the dead, this Boogeyman will find a way to exploit them. Ooh, did I mention about that one time where Boogie abused a sex worker? Their name was Lucy Fox. They met on a sugar daddy site. Since Lucy is a sex worker, this means that when she's with Boogie, she can't make money. Being a sex worker is not an easy job. So when she explained to Boogie that she needs to work, he refused and wanted to keep her for himself. Ugh. He gave Lucy like $10 to make up for the money Lucy didn't make for the day. That totally covers it. Oh god, Boogie is so greedy. We know all of this because Lucy Fox made a video about it. He put Lucy through hell. It saddens me that a lot of people dismiss her because she's a sex worker. Plus, he's been caught liking posts, calling Lucy names and nasty slurs. Boogie is just horrible, and he'd go away abusing a sex worker. Fuck. This one is really nasty, and not many people notice this because it's on TikTok. Boogie has a thing for interacting with minors in there and very young women. Like, he's responding to them shirtless. It's pretty fucking creepy. And the age difference, of course. That's what worries me. He's almost 50 when this video is posted. Gross. This one's just sad. He once was telling a story of his closest friend to a group of streamers. His friend died of cancer, and it was emotional for Boogie. Then he said fuck her. Like, who cares, she's dead, fuck her. That's how you treat your closest friend? Personally, I don't have many friends, and the ones I do have are close, and I respect them, and I love them, and I appreciate them so much. And then my bestie, of course, she's amazing, the best person ever. I would never say such a thing to them. Like, they mean so much to me. And nor would other people with their closest friends. You love your friends, you want to protect your friends, you hold a special place for your friends. So it's quite telling that you would say fuck her. It tells me you never cared for her. That little moment was the truth. He said it with such confidence too. Who would want to be your friend anyway? Fucking loser. And here's some dishonorable mentions. He likes to blame his mental health when he does bad things, he's a scammer, he treats women as objects, he's a misogynist, he has a social media addiction. Like one time he would say he would stop and take a break, and failed. He takes credit for things he has not done, he got caught lying about donating to causes and charities, a worried fan called the police to do a welfare check on him, but then he got super pissed and angry about it. He believes the Holocaust did some good? Yikes, major yikes, oh Jesus Christ. He says sorry too much, so much so it means nothing. He tried to guilt trip people to buy him a new car, and his Francis persona is cringe. It's just cringe. Cringe. I don't know how people thought that was funny. Like, I make cringe, and I'm cringing over this persona. Jesus fucking Christ, ugh. Gross, man. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. It is the most cringiest thing ever. Ugh. So, what did we learn today? Boogie2988 is a bad man. You should not support him. You are bad for supporting him. You are bad for donating to him. Please stop. He is no Mr. Rogers of the internet. He wants your money. He wants your attention. He's a villain. He is a monster. He is an abuser, a liar, a fake person, and much worse, while disguising himself as a saint. Boogie2988 is a vile individual. He is the YouTube Mojave Boogeyman. By the off chance you do watch this, Steven, get off the internet please, and seek help. It's never too late to change. We can always better ourselves. But from your history, I doubt you will. Whatever. I don't care. Screw you, Boogie. Get fucked.